Here we are again. August 23rd, 2025. I'm Jay Essen. Last time we played, I played through Crocodracula, the beginning. And I'll save you the explanation of the whole Crocodracula series. If you are just joining me, you should probably watch that video first. But for now, I'm going to pull up the background info for Crocodracula, What Happened to Calvin. So here's Ryan's website again. Uncovered Crocodracula. Update October 30th. You can play this game, but read below so you know what the deal is. If you're the right age, then you definitely remember Crocodracula, the terrifying soap opera for kids from the early 90s. If you're too old or too young, or your parents, wisely, prevented you from watching, the show was a lot like Land of the Lost, but in a kind of modern gothic horror mode instead of cavemen and dinosaurs. I've also heard it described as Dark Shadows for tweens, but I don't know how accurate that assessment is. However, even 90s kids don't necessarily remember that there was at least one Crocodracula computer game released by Tailframe in 1991. I say at least one because the title, Crocodracula, What Happened to Calvin, makes it sound like they were at least planning to release other games, possibly based on other episodes or story arcs from the show. It's hard to tell. Crocodracula information is really hard to come by for some reason. The point is, I now have a copy of this game. And here we have a photo of Crocodracula, What Happened to Calvin, with some kind of old sticker on the cover, and just, yeah, looks good. I don't want to say too much, but I have a relative who works in law enforcement, and certain people were cleaning out certain evidence lockers, and I guess someone said, hey, Ryan likes text adventures, right? And here we are. Tailframe games are notoriously hard to play nowadays due to their extremely clever and frankly mean-spirited copy protection methods. The first time I got this thing to run was on a modded, increased voltage Amiga 3000. However, after a lot of tedious futzing around, I now have a stable, playable version of this game that will run on modern machines. This is the part where I give you a link to a sketchy.tfr file, followed by 17-step instructions on how to emulate 25-year-old conditions on your machine, making you install this so you can install that, so you can run another thing, and then, a week later, if everything works perfectly, you hate the game because it was so much trouble to play, and you probably hate me by association. And whether it works or not, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering exactly what things I made you download. We've been here before. I don't want to do that to you. So I did the math. Although it would be so much easier for me to give you the TFR and wish you luck, I figured I could save the universe of Crocodracula fans thousands of hours of consternation if I expended the hundreds of hours it'll take to convert this game into a format that doesn't actively hate the user. So I did. I ported What Happened to Calvin to Inform 7, and you can play it in your browser today. I also finally have pictures of all the feelies. If you're young enough to remember Crocodracula, you're probably too young to remember feelies, which were physical objects that came packaged with Infocom games. Tailframe stole that idea, among other things, from Infocom and included some extremely cheap items with their games. Here's what I found in my Crocodracula box. I can't say for certain that I'm not missing anything. This first image is Becca's map of Opasasa, Florida. You can tell that it depicts specifically the landmarks that appear in this particular game, so it's not the definitive Opasasa map or anything. Here's a slightly cleaned up version of the map that you can hopefully get some use out of when navigating the game. I'm going to pull that up. Here's an image, and we've got Becca's map of Opasasa, trailer park with Zoe's house, Miss Muriel's, Hank's auto salvage, the Weeping Willow, the water tower, the cemetery, sheriff, school, Becca's house. And then there's some instructions on the side that say, go south, stop when you see some white orchids, turn left and continue until you find a patch of rock, turn right, keep going until you see the green orchids, turn right again and go straight to the dead tree, turn left, go straight. So I think that's going to be some kind of a swamp navigating instructions. Our next object is an image of this is a piece of paper with a bunch of numbers on it. It figures into the game somehow. I went ahead and digitized it for you. If you get far enough in the game, you will probably want to print this out. Which reminds me, we, despite making a lot of notes about the various vocabulary words we encountered in the previous game, I never actually went back to the sheriff to turn those in. So I guess that's something you'll want to do if you ever decide to play the game yourself. I suspect we might have a similar situation with this paper with all of these numbers on it, but I went ahead and pulled it up anyway. And then it's Becca and Zoe's amulet, or a cheap facsimile of the amulet. I don't think it matches the actual show prop very well at all. The chain is sized for 5th graders, which I guess makes sense, but it serves as an uncomfortable reminder of how long it has been since I was in the real target demographic for this show. Anyway, have fun with the game. Let me know how the port treats you. If you have any questions or comments or anything, just bug me on Twitter. Thanks. Which obviously is an artifact of this coming out in 2017. So let's go back and take a look at the game itself. Yeah, this text is basically the same. Let's go play What Happened to Calvin. So, Crocodracula, what happened to Calvin? Choose your character, Becca or Zoe. When we played the previous game, you'd think I'd remember having just played it. We were playing as the other girl. I want to switch roles. I think we were Becca. Is that right? Let's just go alphabetically. It'll be Becca for now. Character selected. Crocodracula, What Happened to Calvin? A Tailframe game, Inform 7 port by Ryan Veeder. Release 1, serial number 911031, Inform 7 build 6M62, i6, version 6.33, library 6/12N. Buchanan High School. The school day is over, and the mad rush of students hurrying for home has dispersed. The campus seems deserted, except for you. Buchanan High School is a sprawling, single-story building that could easily pass as a federal prison. But the statue near the main entrance is a little welcoming, and there's a light on in Miss Lipton's classroom window. Behind the school building is the fence that cordons off the Opasasa swamp, but you happen to know about a hole in that fence. Exits north, east, south, west, and side. You take a step away from the building, and then you see Eddie Lee slinking back to school, apparently hoping to talk to you. Okay, so, carrying nothing, examine me. You are Rebecca Drapkin, a sophomore at Buchanan High School in Opasasa, Florida. Only you and your best friend Zoe have any idea of the secrets hidden in this little town. So yeah, we're Becca again. Let's examine Eddie Lee. Eddie Lee is in the same year of school as you, but he's a boy, which means he's hopelessly immature for his age. He has curly dark hair and usually wears Hawaiian shirts. He is impossible to take seriously. But right now, he looks more serious than usual. What's wrong, you ask. He grimaces pitifully. I messed up, Becca. I need your help. You know Calvin? Calvin, the class guinea pig, you say. You took him home for the weekend, and you were supposed to bring him back today, but you said you left him at home. So Miss Lipton told you to make sure that you brought him back tomorrow. Yeah, Eddie Lee says. Well, I didn't really leave Calvin at home. The truth is, Calvin accidentally got into Miss Muriel's old store somehow, and I don't know how to get him out. The mention of Miss Muriel makes you catch your breath, but Eddie is too desperate to notice. Can you rescue Calvin for me, Becca, please? You sigh. Okay, Eddie Lee, let's go. Yep, okay, same description of examine him again, just without all of the conversation. Let's type about. Original release, 1991. Crocodracula, What Happened to Calvin. Licensed by Tailframe. Copyright Tailframe 1991. Do not copy or redistribute. Inform 7 port, 2017. Thank you very much for playing this game. I hope you're enjoying it. If you have any desire to contact me about this game, I would encourage you to indulge that desire by hitting me up via email, rcveeder@me.com, or via Twitter, @rcveeder. Huge thanks to the beta testers, listed here in chronological order of testing. Simon Carles, Sarah Nerboso, Heidi Mandolin, Buster Hudson, and Matt Schneider. Also huge thanks to all my Patreon supporters, listed here in alphabetical order by first name. Alex Dorado Newby, Alan Tan, Anya Johanna De Niro, Carl Muckenhaupt, Carolyn Van Esseltine, Kat Manning, Darius Katz, Derek Sotak, Doug Orleans, Emily Short, Emily Bogheim, Evan Downey, Hamish McIntyre, Heidi Mandolin, Ivan R., Jacques Frichet, Janice M. Eisen, Jason McIntosh, Jason Baldus, Jeff Lindsay, Janelle Marie, Jenny Polodna, Kenneth Hahn, Michael Ziegler, Matt Schneider, Matthew Zimmerman, Paul Stanley, Rich Chang, Sammy El Barawi, Sarah Nerboso, Simon Carles, Stephen McKinney, Thomas Boveth, and Zachary Hodgins. Good grief, that's a lot of very nice people. You can support my future games, if you wish, by pointing your web browser to patreon.com/rcveeder. We still have exits, north, east, south, west, and inside. Let's examine the fence. Only you and Zoe know about the hole in the fence, and the two of you have promised not to tell anyone else. The passage is remarkably well hidden, even in broad daylight. No period. I guess in this one we don't have a airboat access to go south. Let's go east first. Outside Becca's house, a stucco wall hems in the wilderness of trees and other plant life that surrounds the Drapkin residence. A cursory glance indicates that Drew's bicycle is gone. Good. Exits west and inside. Hey, wait a minute, Eddie says. This is your house. You say, yeah, I know. We examine the house. One of the few two-story homes in Opasasa, but one of the hardest to see with all the trees growing nearby. We try to examine the trees. You couldn't hope to learn every type of tree and bush and shrub that grows around this house. The combined effect is beautiful, but overwhelming. Inside Becca's house. It's nice to have a big house, but sometimes it seems too big. Too much space for weird noises. Too many rooms for you to ever be totally sure you're alone. Exits outside. Your mom is sitting at the coffee table painting one of her dolls. Hello, Rebecca, she says. Then Eddie Lee appears behind you. Hello, Eddie Lee, she says. You furrow your brow. There is no good reason for your mom to know who Eddie Lee is. I'm trying to type examine doll. The doll in your mother's hands is mostly unpainted. It's a formless mass of porcelain. All around the house are her finished dolls. Dolls with huge, desperate eyes, with arms reaching out as if they're about to fall over, or as if they want something from you. You try not to pay them too much attention. I'll examine Mom. Your mother is wearing her gloves and painter's smock, but of course they're spotless. She does not make mistakes. Well, cool. Talk to Mom. Mom gives you a big smile as you approach, but quickly turns back to her painting. What are you working on? You ask, even though you have a pretty good idea. This one's name will be Maxwell, she says, delicately applying what looks like an eyelash to what is probably the doll's face. Isn't he a little darling? He's definitely on his way there, you say. What happens if we talk to Eddie Lee here? How did you lose Calvin, you ask. I let him out of his carrier so he could get some fresh air, says Eddie. But how did he get inside the general store? Eddie Lee stares at his shoes. Fair enough. We go back out and to the west. Can we get going? Eddie asks. I want to rescue Calvin before it gets dark out. Fair enough. Let's go north to the water tower. At the center of Opasasa is the water tower, painted with the name of the town in letters legible from miles away. Up close, the tower is dizzyingly huge, seemingly too huge to stay upright, even atop its superstructure of steel beams. A narrow ladder is well hidden among the bars. Exits north, east, south, west, up. Miss Muriel's store is just north from here, Eddie offers. You already knew that. As did we. We go north. Which does not have intervening space, it seems. North, Miss Muriel's general store. Though the building was only recently abandoned, it's already showing signs of disrepair. The weathered signage says, Miss Muriel's general store, but Miss Muriel isn't around anymore. The front door is covered in iron bars. On one side, a few feet from the ground, is a mail slot. On the other side, higher up, is a broken window. Shards of glass litter the ground below. Exits south and inside. Yeah, this is where we were, Eddie explains. And now Calvin is in there somehow, but I can't get that door open. You survey the area with a studious frown. There must be another way in, you say. Okay, I'm making a note. These are the beginning words. This is instead what happened to Calvin words, and we have studious. I'll examine the bars. It's a heavy door designed to keep out thieves and trespassers. Can we just try the door? You pull on the door, but it won't budge. Let's examine the sign. The words Miss Muriel's General Store are printed to look informal and welcoming. Let's examine the mail slot. Based on the appearance of this slot, you think the building might have been a private residence before it was a shop. Examine the window. As far as you know, the window was broken only recently, but the light inside has been flickering since the building was abandoned. If I try to enter the window is too high up, and there's still some broken glass left in the frame. Examine the broken glass. The broken glass landed outside, which means... Talk to Eddie Lee. So, why did you ask me for help? Well, Zoe's out of town, Eddie Lee explains. You roll your eyes. So we're not going to be running into her this time around. Interesting. I wonder if we should restart and try playing as her at some point. Let's take broken glass. You don't want to cut yourself. Not carrying anything. Eddie Lee sticks close by. Can I climb Eddie Lee? Little is to be achieved by that. Well, climb on sign. Can't do that. Nothing of interest through the window. Look through mail slot. It's difficult to make out the space beyond. It occurs to you that a guinea pig could fit through this mail slot if someone were being particularly irresponsible. Well, I guess we'd better try exploring elsewhere. We go back south. Let's try going up the water tower. Top of the water tower. It's important not to come up here too often. If the sheriff found out, he'd find a way to block off the ladder. But when you do visit, it's amazing. As you circle the bulb of the water tower on its narrow catwalk, you can see the giant lightning-blasted tree, your house, the high school and the swamp, the weeping willow, and the trailer park. Exits down. Eddie Lee ascends the last few steps of the ladder and lands heavily on the walkway, wheezing dramatically. Are you okay, Eddie Lee? He smiles weakly. I will be in just a second. Then he notices how high up he is. Let's examine the tree. The water tower provides an excellent vantage from which to spy on people meeting at the giant tree, but nobody's down there at the moment. People meet at the lightning blast tree, I guess. Let's examine our house. Your house is surrounded by so many trees and bushes that it's hard to make out, but of course you know exactly where it is. High school. The school building is stretched out over the ground like a rectangular amoeba, reaching out to pull in anyone who gets too close. Examine the swamp. The cypress trees grow thick together, and even from up here you can't get a glimpse of the dark secret of the Opasasa swamp. Which I presume is the castle. The Weeping Willow. The Weeping Willow's facade is unmistakable, and you can see Kyle's car parked outside. Maybe we need to make our way over there, then. Let's examine the trailer park. The long rows of mobile homes at Vista Brumosa seem unremarkable and anonymous at this distance, but you can pick out Zoe's trailer with no trouble at all. We go back down and to the west. Weeping Willow parking lot. This place is usually a lot busier after school. Where'd everybody go? A stylish sign announces that you've arrived at the Weeping Willow Diner. Behind the sign is the establishment's eponymous tree. Beyond that is the diner itself. Kyle's car is parked here. He works here after school most days. Exits north, east, south, inside. An orange flyer lies on the pavement. Eddie Lee furrows his brow. Are you sure you want to stop at the diner before we go save Calvin? He asks. You're the one who asked me for help, you say, so we're going to do things my way. Fair enough. Take flyer, examine it. Save the endangered Opasasa spotted possum, the flyer says, below a picture of an Opasasa spotted possum. It is not the cutest endangered animal you've ever seen. Examining the diner, the Weeping Willow is a popular after-school hangout, and some seniors even drive over here for lunch. We enter. Weeping Willow Diner. A series of empty stools cozy up to the curve of an orange formica counter. It looks like you're the only customer at the moment, and with no cash on hand, you're not much of a customer. Situated above the jukebox is a bulletin board. Exits outside. Kyle waves to you from behind the counter. Eddie leans over the silent jukebox and taps his foot. Let's see this bulletin board. Right now on the bulletin board, there's an advertisement for piano lessons from Waldemar Rubach, a poster for a community theater production of The Green Eyes, and a business card for JM that bears no additional information. JM. Right. We should examine the jukebox while we're here. It's out of order. Let's examine Kyle. Kyle is a senior. At the end of the school year, he'll graduate, and you may never see him again. So it's best to stop by the Weeping Willow whenever you get a chance. We talk to him. Kyle. You look up at Kyle. He smiles. What are you up to tonight? He asks. It's stupid. Eddie Lee lost the class guinea pig, and he needs me to rescue it. Kyle chuckles. If anyone can rescue a guinea pig, it's you. Well, that's very helpful, Kyle. There's less of note here than I expected, so let's go back outside. Let's review the map. So we're here. Zoe's house is in the trailer park to the north. There's a cemetery we never got to last time, and the sheriff to the south. Okay. Let's go south first, to the sheriff's station. The sheriff's station is a squat, sturdy building, its entrance defended by a row of concrete columns. Sheriff Dillard's truck is parked outside. Exits north, east, and inside. Eddie looks around nervously. I don't think Calvin is over here, he says. We'll examine the columns as long as we're here. Given Opasasa's particular climate, the white columns are consistently splotched gray with rain. And the truck. Every kid in Opasasa knows this truck on sight. We enter. Inside Sheriff's Station. The lobby of the Sheriff's Station is done up in soothing, if somewhat clinical, sage and soft teal, and the carpet is a deep moss green. A portrait of the president smiles down approvingly on all this. Exits outside. Sheriff Harvey Dillard sits in an easy chair, working on one of his crosswords. Hey, you, he calls, without rising from his seat. What are you up to? Not much, you say with a shrug. That is just fine with me, the sheriff says. High schoolers doing not much. Just so long as you're not engaging in any teenage buffoonery. Buffoonery. Of course not, you assure him. Eddie leans against the wall near the exit. That's not how you spell talk to the sheriff. Hey, Sheriff, you say, approaching the easy chair, while Eddie hangs back near the exit. Howdy, Becca, says Dillard. Say, you're a smart kid. You think you could help me out with this here crossword puzzle? Yeah. I think so, you say. Well, that's good to hear, because today's puzzle is a real son of a gun. Let's see. Okay. Dillard pokes the paper with his pencil. First, I need a 7-letter word that means a large, impressive building. Starts with an E. What's your answer? Edifice? The sheriff enthusiastically writes your answer down, and then he squints into his newspaper. He says. That's not going to work. He gives you a pained smile. Well, that's why we use pencil, ain't it? Let me know if you want to try again. Becca, Eddie calls hesitantly. Don't we have other stuff to be doing? I guess so. Let's go out. Let's go to the east. Back to the high school. Let's go in. Miss Lipton's classroom. Miss Lipton is your favorite teacher, and this is your favorite room in the school. At the front of the school is the blackboard board, with tomorrow's assignments written on it. Your desk and Zoe's desk are near the window, where you can keep an eye on the swamp. Below the window is Calvin's cage. Exits outside. Miss Lipton is near the front of the room, her face buried in a book. Eddie inches toward the door. We probably shouldn't bother, Miss Lipton. We've got a lot to do this afternoon. Right, Becca? Miss Lipton eyes him suspiciously. I'm going to check out the cage. Calvin the guinea pig is cute enough to be Calvin the guinea pig is cute enough to be a welcome companion to Miss Lipton's class, but in his absence you are reminded mainly of his smell. In Calvin's cage are some wooden blocks. I examine the blocks. These were originally intended to help a small child learn letters and numbers, but now they belong to Calvin. They are covered in bite marks. Okay, I tried to take the blocks. You reach into the cage, but Miss Lipton catches you. Those are Calvin's blocks, Becca. You'll have to go find your own. You sheepishly remove your hand. Miss Lipton smiles reassuringly. I examine the desk. Miss Lipton doesn't like it when you and Zoe whisper to each other during class, but she still lets you sit next to each other. So, true. Let's go back out. Let's go north again, and this time we'll go east. The cemetery. A large sign greets you at the entrance of Shady Hill Cemetery. Sculpted hedges and wide headstones make a maze of the entire area. Far to the east, atop a sad excuse for a hill, is a tree that offers no shade. Exits north, east, and west. Eddie points into the row of headstones. Do you see that? You move in for a closer look at a pile of wreckage that, as far as you can tell, used to be a wooden bench. Looks like something crashed into it, you say. Or tried to eat it, Eddie suggests. Or just wanted to destroy it. Eddie looks around nervously. There isn't much daylight left. Then he leans in, close to your face. Crocodracula, he hisses. You roll your eyes. We go east to the old tree. This is a popular meeting place for young people with secret business to conduct in the spindly shadow of an old, white, dead tree. Exits west. Eddie starts to whistle and then stops. West and west again. No, we need to go south, east, and then north to Hank's Auto Salvage. A ramshackle hut with a big sign on top of it guards the salvage yard. Rows of beat-up cars stretch into the distance, and it's easy to imagine something scampering between them. You can see the rear entrance to Miss Muriel's store here. Exits south and inside. You notice Eddie craning his neck over your shoulder, like he's using you as a human shield. Do you see Hank anywhere? He whispers. Eddie Lee, you respond. Please remove yourself from my personal space. He acquiesces. Acquiesces. Okay. I examine the rear entrance. The back of Miss Muriel's store is a windowless, unwelcoming edifice set with edifice is spelled with an I, not an A. That's the issue I ran into. Set with a single rust-encrusted door. I examine the door. The door is in serious need of replacement. It looks like it's about to fall apart. We go back south, west, and then north. Open rear door. Is it only accessible from the other area? I tried to enter the door. You try the handle of the rusty door. Either it's locked or the mechanism is rusted in place. You steady your shoulder and throw your weight against the door. It falls in with a sickening thump. You and Eddie turn nervously toward Hank's shack. He doesn't seem to have noticed, if he's there at all. Well, we are in. Let's go inside. Miss Muriel's office. Strange symbols are drawn on the floor and the walls. On Miss Muriel's desk is a dusty tome. Various bottles and flasks are scattered around. One that had been sitting on the floor has been tipped over, spilling a puddle of a dark scarlet substance. Some small animal stepped into this puddle, and then stepped out, leaving behind tiny footprints that lead into the next room. Also, that door is on the floor. Exits, west and outside. This is creepy, Eddie says, staring around at the room. Apparently he never heard about Miss Muriel's hobbies. Okay, we've got tome. We should examine it. You flip through Miss Muriel's book. It seems to be an encyclopedia of the arcane, with entries written in many different hands. You could look up any number of esoteric subjects in this volume. Look up Crocodracula. Look up Crocodracula in tome. Crocodracula, the book explains, is a character from folktales popular in and around Opasasa, Florida. Supposedly he flies around at night, sucking blood and causing mayhem. The author takes pains to point out that crocodiles are not found in Florida, so Crocodracula would be a misnamed vampiric alligator if he existed. A note in the margin looks like it could have been Miss Muriel's handwriting, but she carefully crossed it out, erased it, and crossed it out again. Let's examine the footprints. You're no expert, but they look like guinea pig tracks to you. They lead west, out of the office. So we go west. Inside the general store. One flickering fluorescent light illuminates the rows of empty shelves. A broken window is set high in the wall near the heavy front door. The animal tracks reach the center of the room, and then stop, without fading away. Exits east, outside. Eddie takes in the scene. As his gaze rises to the broken window, the color drains from his face. Calvin came in here, he says, tracing the path of the footprints again. He was lost and afraid, and then he must have made some kind of pathetic guinea pig sound, and... He lowers his voice. Crocodracula heard Calvin crying, and he flew through the window and snatched Calvin away. You shake your head. Miss Lipton has told you 100 times, Crocodracula is a myth. He's not real. There's no other explanation, Becca. Calvin couldn't have escaped by himself. He's just a little guy. And now he's... And it's my fault. He turns away. There's nothing I can do now. Tomorrow I'll tell Miss Lipton that a falcon ate Calvin. Thank you for your help, he says, still looking at the floor, even though it was too late. He pushes the door open and steps outside. You purse your lips and look over the clues yourself. Okay, the tracks are still looking like guinea pig tracks that come to an abrupt end in the middle of the shop. If we'll examine the window, the sky outside is overcast. What else is in here? Empty shelves, broken window, set high in the wall near the heavy front door. The light is flickering. Although the fitful flashing is unsettling, it's better than pitch dark, so you don't give the issue much more thought. We go outside, first opening the barred door. Miss Muriel's general store. Though the building was only recently abandoned, it's already showing signs of disrepair. The weathered signage says Miss Muriel's general store, but Miss Muriel isn't around anymore. The front door is covered in iron bars, etc. The barred door swings shut with a heavy clunk. Okay, so we can exit, but we can't re-enter. So we've got to go south, and east, and north, and in. Let's examine the bottle. The bottles contain substances of various colors and consistencies. None of them are labeled. Look at the scarlet puddle. The puddle looks distinctly sticky, almost like tacky paint, but it's not like any color of paint you've seen. Look up scarlet in tome. Okay. Look up guinea pig in tome. Let's examine the symbols. Based on what you know about Miss Muriel, you don't want to investigate these symbols too closely. Can I take the tome? You'd better leave Miss Muriel's tome where it is, just in case. Look up animal in tome. Look up spell in tome. Look up transformation in tome. Look up vanishing in tome. Look up vampire in tome. A note dealing with vampires theorizes that such individuals might be cursed not because they committed great evil, but because they failed to fulfill some sacred duty. It does not mention anyone named Dracula or Crocodracula. Look up falcon in tome. Look up Calvin in tome. Okay. Calvin is not in the book. I guess we have ruled that possibility out. Let's see. Well, now that we are on our own, we can probably explore a little more thoroughly. So, I want to try something briefly. Let's see. Okay. If you need help with something specific to this game, try talking to yourself. Talk to me. Eddie Lee suspects Crocodracula. You mutter to yourself. I need to visit the swamp. Okay. And now that we're free of Eddie Lee, we can safely go through the hole in the fence. So, let's go out. Let's go south and west and south. Enter hole. You look around to make sure nobody can see, and then you pass through the secret hole in the fence into the swamp. Swamp. Just north of here is the hole in the fence. In all other directions lies the vast Opasasa swamp. In the immediate vicinity, you see a swarm of mosquitoes. Okay, gonna guess we need to use the map instructions. So we go south, we stop when you see some white orchids. Let's go south to blue rose mallow and a patch of blue orchids. Here's a curtain of Spanish moss and a swarm of mosquitoes. A pitcher plant, a patch of saw palmettos, a fallen tree, and a swarm of mosquitoes. A rose mallow, a patch of exposed rock, and a swarm of mosquitoes. Spanish moss, a rose mallow, and a swarm of mosquitoes. A swarm of mosquitoes. A patch of white orchids, a patch of saw palmettos, a patch of exposed rock, and a swarm of mosquitoes. You're getting pretty deep in the swamp. You can return to Buchanan High with the command, return. No, we're actually just getting started. We need now to turn left and continue until you find a patch of rock. So if we were going south, now we need to go east. East until we see a patch of rock. Here's a hollow tree, a rose mallow, and a swarm of mosquitoes. Here's a pitcher plant, a patch of white orchids, and a rose mallow. Pitcher plant, a rose mallow, and a swarm of mosquitoes. Patch of saw palmettos, a fallen tree, and a swarm of mosquitoes. Patch of green orchids, a pitcher plant, a fallen tree, and a patch of blue orchids. Spanish moss, a pitcher plant, and a swarm. Rose mallow and swarm. Immediate vicinity, you see a pitcher plant, a hollow tree, a patch of exposed rock, and a patch of blue orchids. Okay. Turn left and continue until you find a patch of rock. Turn right, so south again, until you see the green orchids. So south. Here's a curtain of Spanish moss on a swarm, a patch of green orchids, a patch of white orchids, a patch of saw palmettos, a rosemallow, a patch of blue orchids, and a swarm of mosquitoes. Dang, it's getting busy out here. Okay, turn right again and go straight to the dread tree. So now we're going to go west. Immediate vicinity, you see a curtain of Spanish moss, a fallen tree, a dead tree, and a swarm of mosquitoes. Okay, turn left, go straight. So now we go south. We continue south. Okay. The swamp extends in all directions. You've reached a small clearing. And here stands the biggest secret of the Opasasa swamp. Huge, moss-encrusted stone walls jutting out of the water, reaching up into the foliage at an unnatural angle. A centuries-old castle half sunken in the wet earth. You look up just in time to see a dark shape creeping along the battlements and into the shadows. I notice the exits command no longer exists. Enter castle. You climb over a pile of fallen stones and into the dark halls of the castle. The air in this immense hallway is thick with moisture and decay. Immense. You feel as if you stepped into a cave, not a man-made structure. The stones of the walls and floor are uneven and slick with moss, and the whole castle has tilted to one side. You must be careful not to slip. Exits are east, west, and outside. We have different directions now. Let's go west this time. Corridor. The hallway narrows, and as you turn a corner, you see a passage leading beneath the sunken castle. The remains of a tapestry hang on the wall here, east or down. Examine the tapestry. The tapestry depicted a regal woman, a pale woman with dark hair. Most of the image has been rotten, chewed, or torn away. We go down the tunnel. The passages twist wildly, and the ceiling gets lower and lower as you go. It would be impossible to see your way through if not for the eerie green glow from somewhere up ahead. North. Crypt. A slimy sarcophagus rests in the middle of this chamber, lit by 4 torches that dance with green fire. The lid of the coffin has been pushed to one side. Exits north and south. Look in sarcophagus. You peer hesitantly into the coffin, but it's empty, of course. Further north. Door. The passage widens and then terminates at this massive limestone door. Terminates. From its patina of grime and lichen, you gather that this door has not been opened in centuries. Its surface has been engraved with a mysterious inscription. Read inscription. Your guess is that the words are Latin. You and Zoe have yet to attempt translating it. Asking an adult for help could arouse undesired interest. I tried to open the door. You have been forbidden to open the door. Okay. Whatever you say, Crocodracula. We go south and up and east to the stair. A warm breeze flows down the stairs. They must lead to the top of the castle and open air. About halfway up, a small alcove is set into the wall. I examine the alcove. This little niche in the staircase wall must have been used to display something, but whatever it was is no longer here. Up again to the parapet. Standing atop the walls of the castle gives you the most dramatic impression of the angle at which the structure has sunk, is sinking into the surrounding mire. Your position is precarious, and the low crenellations of the outer wall wouldn't do much to save you if you lost your footing. Precarious. We go west. To the tower. You stand at the base of a crooked tower and its wobbly-looking stone stairway. The stairs lead to the highest point of the castle. Let's go up. You take a step onto the first stair. It seems to hold your weight. You press a cautious hand against the wall and begin your ascent. Look out. The dim chamber at the top of the tower offers a panoramic view of the swamp, a damp abyss crawling with unimaginable secrets. Exits down. Crocodracula is here, looking out over his domain. A rusty sword leans against the wall. We look at the man himself, Crocodracula. Crocodracula doesn't like to be gawked at, and he hides himself in a long cape with a high collar. But you've seen his long reptilian snout and his bright orange eyes. His eyes are impossible to forget. We talk to Crocodracula. Good evening, says Crocodracula without turning to greet you. I think I know why you've come. There's this kid in my class, you explain. He lost our guinea pig, Calvin, and he thinks you ate it. But you don't think I did. You wouldn't, would you? He doesn't answer. Calvin got into one of Miss Muriel's potions, you say. Crocodracula utters a long, low hissing sound. The consequences of that woman's meddling will outlive her by many years. Calvin is alive. He is somewhere in my swamp. But he has changed. I believe Muriel would call him Champe. Champe? A monster, Crocodracula snaps. The best you can do for him is to remove him from this earth. Go home and retrieve the amulet I entrusted to you. Okay. We should make a note of that name because we're going to go look that up in the book. But we are going to get the amulet as well. Okay, so. One more time. Do I have to use the amulet, you ask? Isn't there anything else we can do? Crocodracula's eyes narrow. I may not be the scholar Muriel was, but I know that Calvin is dangerous. If you don't stop him, eventually somebody will come to harm. Fair enough. We go down, east, down, west, out. Okay, you exit the castle and make your way back to the fence at the edge of town. We're back at Buchanan High School. That statue has an entirely different aspect in this atmosphere. There are no lights turned on in the school. Even the janitors have gone home. Okay, so it is now later. Let's examine statue. In the dark, you can't see the girl's happy expression. Her butterfly is lost in the shadows. Instead, she seems to be running after someone or away from something that you can't see. We go east. We're outside Becca's house. The lights are out. Everyone inside is definitely asleep. Let's go inside. You have business to finish before you go home. Okay, so we're not getting the amulet. We're going west. And let's go west again. The lights are on at the police station, but that isn't much comfort. If you ask Sheriff Dillard for help, he'd just tell you to go home. North to the Weeping Willow parking lot. The diner is closed for the evening. The swaying willow tree waves a half-hearted goodbye. The parking lot is poorly lit, but standing out here, you feel exposed rather than hidden. North. Well, we could have been here when it was bright out, but I didn't think we would have a change like this. Vista Brumosa Mobile Village is very quiet at this time of night, and the lights are out at Zoe's house. On the lawn are Zoe's dad's grill and a plastic deer fallen on its side. You'll have to be very stealthy to get in without waking Mr. Hudson. So it's south and inside. Let's go inside. Carefully, silently, you slip into Zoe's house. Zoe's trailer. Zoe's cramped home is tough to navigate in the dark. Luckily, you know exactly what you're looking for. Exits outside. It only takes a minute to pull Zoe's false diary out of its hiding place. Take diary. Open it. You open the false diary, revealing an amulet. Take amulet. Okay, Let's examine the amulet again. Crocodracula bestowed this talisman upon you and Zoe, explaining that with it you could banish certain things that don't belong in Opasasa. Let's check out that deer. It's just a lawn decoration, but it's unsettling to see it tipped over, legs rigid, eyes staring straight at nothing, like an animal that doesn't know it's dead. The deer is only about 3 feet tall and not very heavy. You easily set it back on its feet. Back to the south. And let's go east. The beams supporting the water tower are an impossible web spun by the bloated spider hanging right above your head. What if we go up now? Top of the water tower. It's too late to enjoy the view. You can only see vague shadows cast by orange street lamps under a cloudy sky. Okay. Here is Miss Muriel's general store. I don't know why I came this way. The space outside Miss Muriel's is lit up a ghostly gray by the flickering light within. It would be too easy for something hiding in the shadows to see you standing around here. We go south and we go east. Cemetery. The labyrinth of bushes and grave markers is near unnavigable at night, and there's no telling what might appear to greet you. Better to give this place a wide berth until daylight. Old tree, it's too late to be out here alone. You should get going. West and north. I should have tried exploring the maze while I had the chance. Hank's Auto Salvage. Another graveyard, but here the corpses are above ground, bodies slowly rusting away. The rear entrance of Miss Muriel's store is here. Inside. Here's the tome. Look up Champe in tome. The notes concerning the Champe are very sparse. A Champe is a ferocious creature, or a curse that turns someone into a ferocious creature. It is compared in passing to Sasquatch and the creature of myth from Canadian Indigenous peoples. I think it's considered inappropriate to say the name, so I have tried to refrain from doing so. The Champe curse can be undone with something that reminds the victim of his humanity, a favorite food, or a passionate appeal from a loved one. A favorite food, or something... Okay. So something that reminds him of his guinea pigness, like the blocks, perhaps? Let's go out. Let's go south. And south, we can't get inside. Huh. Okay. Well, we have to make do with just trying to appeal to Calvin's nature. Let's talk to ourselves. I guess I gotta take the amulet to the swamp, you say, quietly. Well, we go to the swamp. You take a deep breath before you return through the fence to the swamp. Swamp, you can barely see anything. Let's listen. You hold your breath. You can't hear anything. You can barely see anything in the swamp. Let's try waiting. Can you smell? You inhale deeply. You think the scent might be coming from the south. Let's smell again. Yeah. From deep in the swamp comes the ululation of a distant bird. Okay. Made a note of that. Smell. Further south. Smell. Further south. Continuing southward. You notice there are no frogs croaking. Oh, what just happened? Did I? Can't undo what has been done. So what just happened? My cat jumped on my keyboard and seems to have refreshed the page, which is unfortunate, but this means we can be Zoe. Here we are. Well, let's see if anything is different as we quickly redo everything we just did. So, let's talk to Eddie Lee. I messed up. Zoe, I need your help. You know Calvin? Calvin, the class guinea pig, you say. Everything here looks the same. Okay. Let's go east. Wait, this isn't Miss Muriel's. Outside Becca's house, a stucco wall hems in the wilderness of trees and other plant life that surrounds the Drapkin residence. A cursory glance indicates that Drew's bicycle is gone. That's too bad. Can we go inside? You knock on the door, and before long, Becca's mom appears. Zoe, 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 how nice to see you. Rebecca's not around, I'm afraid. She's at the World Peace Conference up in Orlando. Oh, that's right, you say. I forgot. I'll let you know you were asking after her, Becca's mom says with a big smile. Then, having run out of things to say, she waves goodbye and closes the door in your face. Okay. Eddie still wants us to find Calvin. Let's go inside. Okay. Let's talk to Sheriff. If I can spell him right. Hey, you're a smart kid. You think you could help me out with this here crossword puzzle? Yes. Edifice with an I. Hey, that works. He writes the answer down. All right, next up. 5 letters means to prefer. Favor? Yes, great. Let's see now. This one is silently count some squares. This one is 8 letters long. The 4th letter is D. Careful, thoughtful. Any ideas? 8 letters long, careful or thoughtful. Studious is a word we came across that would be appropriate. He nods and pencils it in. Definitely, definitely. Okay, next one. 7 letters. The clue is big. Well, that could be a lot of things. Immense. I think, yeah, that'll work. He gives you a thumbs up. But we ain't done yet. Here's a tough one. 10 letters. The last letter is D, and the clue is just ended. That is not one of the words we've encountered, I don't think. Let's see. Concluded is C-O-N-C-L-U-D-E-D. That's not enough letters. Nor is finished. 10 letters. The last letter is D. Is there an 8-letter word that means to end? To conclude, to finish, to... I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of words and it's not coming up for me. Nor is it among the words from last week. C-O-M-P-L-E-T-E-D. No, that's, again, only 9 letters. T-E-R-M-I-N-A-T-E-D. Terminated. Oh, well, duh, and there you go. That's why I need you around. Next one, 7 letters. Stealthy. Does not look like that is one of the words I have collected. Stealthy, 7 letters. Sneaky's too short. Surreptitious is too long. hidden is way too short. Way too short. It's one letter off. Subtle? No. Silent? No. Creepy? Because as in something that creeps along? No. Lurking? I don't think that's an appropriate match to stealthy. Again, the words I have collected are acquiesces, buffoonery, studious, tome, immense, terminates. I typed terminates. It must have been terminated. That's why I didn't notice it earlier. Precarious, ululation. Stealthy. I'm going to try lurking. Okay, yep. That's not lurking, but we've made some good progress there. Let's go out for now. Go north. Let's go in. Let's talk to Kyle as Zoe. Hey, Zoe, Kyle says. Where's Becca? She's at the World Peace Conference in Orlando, you explain. Oh, that's cool. Should look good on a college application. Yeah, and then there are the benefits of world peace. So, still not much of a customer. Take that flyer again, though I'm not sure why. The endangered Opasasa spotted possum. So if we go to the trailer park as Zoe, you stand outside your house. On the lawn are Dad's grill and a plastic deer fallen on its side. Is this your trailer? Eddie Lee asks. Yeah, you say. Can I come in? You sigh heavily. Let's go inside. Zoe's trailer. It's true, the kitchen, the dining room, and the living room are all kind of the same space, and it's true that you don't enjoy the same privacy that Becca does at her house. But you'd never say your house is cramped. It's cozy. Anyway, you're used to it. Exits outside. Your father is hunched over the messy kitchen table, hard at work on his next creation. Hey, daughter, he says as you walk in. Then he notices Eddie. Hey, young man, he says. Hello, Mr. Hudson, says Eddie. Talk to Dad. He beckons you toward the table. Take a look at this, he says, holding up a flask of clear liquid. I've been fiddling with the flavors. Rather than lemon-lime, what you're looking at here is lime-lemon. You nod approvingly. Well, taste it, he says, pressing the glass into your hands. You take a sip. Your reaction is impossible to suppress. Too tart. Okay. Dad makes a note. Good to know. Good to know. Let's go back out. Let's take the deer. Let's go south, east, and north. Here's that studious frown. Examine the door, open it, examine the slot. Look through slot. Examine the window. Examine the glass. Climb in window. Climb window. Enter window. Yep, okay. Talk to Eddie Lee. Okay, so let's go south and east. Here's his Crocodracula aspersions again. We go east to the tree. Lightning struck the tree dead ages and ages ago. Now it's dead, but it still stands. Enter maze. Oh, no. And a large sign greets you at the entrance of Shady Hill Cemetery. Sculpted hedges and wide headstones make a maze of the entire area. That wrecked bench isn't hard to find, though. It looks like the bench was about to be the victim of a very messy wood chipper and got rescued a couple seconds too late. The beams that remain are pitted with long groove-like slashes. Oh, this was something that Calvin got a hold of. Take wood. Take bench. Yeah, we don't want to carry that around. Okay, let's go north. He acquiesces. Cars. Not a good place to hang out. The shack. Hank is usually inside, usually asleep, but you don't care to check to make sure. Okay, let's go to the door. Open it. It's rusted. We hit the door. He didn't notice that we knocked the door in. Let's go in. Examine the tome. Look up Crocodracula in tome. Look up vampire in tome. Look up Frankenstein in tome. No, okay. Look up Sasquatch in tome. Sasquatch, the book avoids the term Bigfoot. Foot is a strong but peaceful creature of the North American woods. Supposedly it possesses wisdom that it has yet to share with the human race. When we're prepared, Sasquatch will emerge from the woods, and the book doesn't say what will happen. Let's look up that which should not be named in the tome. It's a monster that eats human flesh. Apparently a person can turn into one if he can't keep his greed in check. Let's go ahead and examine the footprints. And go west. Well, okay. Did I have pathetic written down? I don't think I did. Let's add pathetic to my notes. We go out. Let's go south. Let's go up. Okay, so it's still light out. Let's go south and let's go in. And can we take the wood? Take the block. Talk to Miss Lipton. Just killing time, you respond with a cool shrug. Let's examine the board while we're here. Excuse me, the blackboard. None of this homework is due until Friday. No reason to worry about it tonight. Can I show the flyer to Miss Lipton? Not that she cares. Okay. We'll examine her while we're here. She is a young teacher with a passable sense of style. You and Becca are her favorite students, and you feel like you can tell her anything, excluding certain vital secrets. Vital. We should go out. Okay. Let's examine the hole. Only you and Becca know about the hole in the fence, and the two of you have promised not to tell anyone else. The passage is remarkably well hidden, even in broad daylight. Let's go south. And we continue south until we see the white orchids. Yeah, white orchids. Now we go east. To green orchids. Yes. It was white orchids. Oh, the patch of rock. Then south to green orchids. West again to the dead tree, and then south. Okay, so when we started going east, we saw hollow tree, rose mallow, swarm of mosquitoes, pitcher plant, patch of white orchids, rose mallow, pitcher plant. Okay, we're still on track, so we can go east again, and again, and again. Now we can go south for the green. Now we can go west to the dead tree. Now we can go south. Okay. Can we examine the shape? Nope. Shadows. Battlements. The entire edifice. Here's edifice in bold. So there, it was a word. I just didn't encounter it. The opening. We just go in. Immense? Did I get immense? I did. Okay. We know we can go east, then up. Precarious west, then up. Examine sword. The blade is caked with rust, but the golden hilt still has some of its original luster. Talk to Crocodracula. Okay. Okay, same scenario here. Let's go. Guess it's time to get going, you tell yourself. So we go down, east, down, west, out. That statue has an entirely different aspect, so now it is too dark. You cannot... You try one of the school's massive metal doors. Locked. Maybe there's another way. Examine the school. In the darkness, the school building is just a mass of bricks, but you think you can still tell which window is Miss Lipton's. Open the window. Enter window. With a little effort, you climb up to the window and into Miss Lipton's classroom. Miss Lipton's classroom. You can barely see in here and navigate mostly by memory. This is your desk, and that one is Becca's desk, so Calvin's cage must be over here. We're doing a little bit of sequence breaking here. Let's take block. Examine it. You can't see it. Nothing at the moment. Examine block. Okay. Out. Let's go north. North. And no, can't go that way. We just go south, east, north. In. Look up, jump in, book. Curse can be undone with something that reminds the victim of his piganity, a favorite food, or passionate appeal from a loved one. So we've got the block. But just to be safe, let's go out and south and west, west, north, in. Okay, so business to finish before we go home. South, south, right, because outside Becca's house, the lights are out. Everyone inside is definitely asleep, but you know a way in via a sturdy tree. The tree? The shadows of the foliage crowd around you, and you keep thinking of something's hidden among the leaves, coming closer. Climb tree. You shimmy up the appropriate tree and hoist yourself into the Drapkin home. Inside Becca's house. Thick carpets muffle your steps. Sneaking through Becca's maze-like house is a walk in the park. Or it would be if it weren't for all the dolls. Exits outside. Eventually you're able to find Peggy Pony, Becca's beloved stuffed horse. Look in horse. Inside Peggy Pony is an amulet. Take amulet. All right. Now we go out. Now we go west. Now we go south. Smell. Must be coming from the south. Smell. South. Smell. South. Smell. Deep in the swamp comes ululation. We continue smelling and making our way to the south. No frogs. The smelling and southing continues. The air is full of that unnatural musk. You can't tell whether you're getting closer to or further from its source. You can barely see anything. Something slithers over your leg. You can't see anything like that in the immediate vicinity. You can barely see anything. It sounds like it's somewhere south from here. We continue south, listening instead of smelling now. You lean forward and turn your head back and forth. It sounds like it's somewhere south from here. You can barely see anything. A sound like a voice comes from somewhere in the dark. Hello? You call, falteringly. The thing, whatever it is definitely close. It's somewhere to the south. We continue listening and moving to the south. You can barely see anything. Then the noise stops, and two lights appear in the darkness, two eyes level with yours. You stop in your tracks. Calvin? It rasps hungrily. Show blocks to Calvin. You lift the blocks toward the creature's face. I brought your blocks, Calvin. Your chew toys, remember? It sniffs your hands. A long claw reaches out to pluck the blocks away. Eddie Lee feels really bad about letting you get lost, you say. He wants you to come back. We missed you in class today. We all want you back. The monster pops a wooden block into its mouth and begins gnawing on it. You hold your breath. The hairy beast falls to its knees. The evil glow fades from its eyes, and it shrinks down into the swamp grass. You lean down and squint. There's the shape of a little guinea pig, chewing contentedly on a block bearing the letter R. You scoop it up into your arms. Good turn. All right, let's examine Calvin while we're here. Calvin is a little brown guinea pig. You hold him close to your body and feel his heart beating incredibly fast. But that's normal for a guinea pig. Talk to ourselves. I should get back to town. We return. Too late for that. You have a job to do. We go back north. You look out into the dark swamp. You can just barely make out the streetlights of Opasasa through the trees. With another deep breath, you begin the trek back to the gap in the fence. Buchanan High School. There are no lights turned on in the school. Even the janitors have gone home. The statue has an entirely different aspect in this atmosphere. I guess we'll keep Calvin with us. Let's go west. Yeah, we can't go in to talk to Sheriff Dillard. So, much like last game, the challenge of solving the sheriff's crossword puzzle and filling out this mysterious pad, that's going to be up to you, it seems. So, consider that your challenge, should you decide to play this game. You go north and north and in. You enter the house quietly so as not to disturb your dad. Once you're in your bedroom, you empty out a drawer and deposit Calvin inside. Then you creep back out to get some lettuce from the fridge. The next day, as you enter Miss Lipton's classroom, you see Eddie Lee has gotten there first. And where's Calvin? Miss Lipton asks. Eddie looks at his shoes. Well, I took him out on a walk and we saw this falcon. Here he is. You rush over to place little Calvin in Miss Lipton's hands. She furrows her brow at you, but doesn't ask any further questions. She turns away to put Calvin in his cage. Eddie Lee gawks at you, but you pretend not to notice. You sit down in your desk and look out the window at the swamp. The end. Would you like to restart, restore a save game, quit, or undo the last command? So, this concludes our journey through the playable Crocodracula games. Thank you for joining me on these. The last game, such as it is unplayable because all it is a solution file. So this is an interesting story and solution to whatever this game would be, but it is not playable. So I would encourage you to read it to learn another chapter of the Crocodracula story. And in the event that any more chapters should turn up, we will play through them. But for now, I think this is the conclusion of our time with Crocodracula. And so thank you for joining me. I'm Jay Essen, and have a good day.